Hello, and welcome everyone. I'm Dr. Ekta Jain on behalf of Sriram IAS. I welcome you to this YouTube page and this YouTube video where I would be taking you to a journey of UPSC preparations and in particular for sociology optional. Now, so I am myself from the background of sociology. It has been my disciplinary training. I'm a gold medalist in sociology. Then I went on to do my bachelor's from Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University, and I did my PhD from JNU. And I've been involved with children, with coaching with UPSC for now, past for quite a number of years now. And at Sri Ram's, our aim is through this digital medium, through these videos, to extend this guidance to get the knowledge across to so many of you. And we welcome all your comments, all your feedback. And I'll just quickly tell you a little about the institute and about the course and about the topic for today especially. And the topic today that we will be dealing in sociology is about positivism in sociology. What it is, how it is, we'll come to all of it. So just a second, I'll share the screen with each one of you. Yes, I think it's visible now. Great. So this is about Sri Ram's IAS. So you can see that there's a devoted faculty, there's a devoted expert to each and every paper. So we have I personally here would be taking up sociology, and then so there are several benefits at Sri Ram's IAS, and these are a few of them. That why should you enroll and how does it help? And there are a number of courses which the institute is offering. So you have GS Foundation course, you have crash courses in current affairs, GS, CSAT, and this of course is the optional course where I in particular would be taking up the course of sociology. This will be happening from 15th April. From 15th April. Now, this is a big one for all of you out there, because at Sri Ram, we believe that you would want to save on your energy, you would want to save on your time, you would want to save on your money. So whoever is interested, whoever is keen and looking for something, do your research and utilize this opportunity, guys. This is the foundation batch for UPSC CSE, and they've been giving excellent results for past some years. So more than 35 years they've been in this domain, and the aim is only to bring the best out of all of you through these classes, through these courses, through all the educators. So we all as a team are really looking forward to this smooth journey in the forthcoming year. Now, I told you about myself. I'm Dr. Ekta Jain. I told you a little about myself, my involvement with sociology in terms of teaching, in terms of writing, in terms of I've also created course modules at different places, and that's a little about me and my journey here. And as of now, I think I'll directly come to positivism in sociology. Now, in my other classes, you have seen that we've talked about what we say, we've talked about the emergence of sociology. We've talked about the emergence of sociology. We've seen that how sociology as a product, the discipline as a product, is a product of age of enlightenment. Now, this is a product of age of enlightenment, or what we say Renaissance. Yes. And what happened during this time was there was an entire industrial revolution, there was an intellectual revolution, there was a scientific revolution. So all these new things were happening, society was progressing, there was scientific thinking, there was logic, new factory modes of production had come up, there was an overhaul of the religious orthodoxy, of the stagnation which was existing. वो चेंज हो गया था रेनेसा की वजह से. रेनेसा literally means to reawaken. So because of that, everything changed. Now with these things, with all these changes, there was a problem. There were also a lot of problems like a new middle class had come up. Now this is not exactly a problem, but to understand this new middle class was a problem, because until then there were the upper classes and the lower classes. So how do you deal with the new middle class? That was a problem. How do you understand them? How do you put them in a framework? That was a problem. Then there were, because there was factory mode of production, there was more work, so there was migration happening. There was large scale migration which took place from the rural to urban, leading to more slums, leading to unhygienic living conditions. Then there was, when there was so much of supply, the wages were low, so a lot of issues came up. And again, again, because of the scientific revolution, there was logic, there was inquiry, there were new modes of thinking, new intellectuals had come up, right? So with all of that, these new intellectuals, everybody thought that okay, जो भी हमारे पास है, we are not able to answer these problems with it. So you need a new discipline. You need a new discipline, and it is in this background that sociology emerged. Now, very clearly, we see that at a time, sociology emerged at a time when there was a lot of stress on science. When there was a lot of stress on science, sociology had emerged at such a time. Science was highly regarded. Okay. So कभी भी कोई भी circumstances में जब एक चीज highly regarded है, highly appreciated है, तो कोई भी नई चीज जो आती है, everybody wants that new thing should get its affinity, its closeness to what is highly regarded. Only then there's a kind of an acceptance, right? There's an acceptance, there's a legitimacy. There's a legitimacy. So for sociology to get its legitimacy, it also believed that it needs to get closer to science. It needs to get closer to the scientific principles, to natural science, right? In order to prove its existence, right. So that you have thinkers at that time, the thinkers who were there in the field of sociology. So you have people like Saint Simon, then you have people like Auguste Comte. Auguste Comte is also called the father of sociology, as he coined the term sociology. You have Herbert Spencer. So these are thinkers, these are sociologists who believe in the closeness of sociology to science. So, in fact, Auguste Comte gave an entire model to understand the development of society. He gave an evolutionary model to understand society. Okay, so in this evolutionary model, the society was going from theological to metaphysical to positivistic. So you see that he gave an entire stages. Saint Simon, in fact, got with what we call social physics. He called sociology social physics, right? So जब physics ही आ गया, so there was so much of stress on science. Spencer gave what we call organismic analogy. He gave what we call organismic analogy. Now, what does this mean? That society is like an organism. Okay. पहले organism की बात करते हैं. So, organism has organs, it has tissues, it has cells. Similarly, society has its systems. Its systems. The systems are made up of groups. How do the systems work? Like, how does an educational system work? It works because of the existence of groups, like a peer group, like children, like teachers, like a machine, an entire machinery. And these groups are what? Like how you have cell as the lowest unit of an organism. In terms of society, the lowest unit is the individual, right? So he gave an organismic analogy. He compared society to organism. So you see, all these early thinkers, they really worked hard in saying that sociology is what? It is close to science. It is like science. Now, this is one way of saying that, okay, it is science. How do you prove it? How do you prove it? The easiest way to prove that sociology is close to science would be to come up with such methodologies, with such ideas, with such concepts, with such approaches, that those approaches themselves become scientific in nature, right? And that is the best way to say that sociology is like science. And this here, what you are seeing here, did exactly this for sociology. Positivism was a factor, a major factor which helped these people, which made sociology close to science. Okay, now let's see. So positivism literally, now sociology and science. So here you see first, if we talk about sociology and science, we know that science is empirical investigation, right? It believes in making theories. There's a logical assessment, right? While sociology is about intersubjectivity. It is about intersubjectivity. We are dealing with things which are not external. Okay. So now, why we are discussing this, that you will see that even though we are using the word term, the method of positivism, how relevant is it actually going to be? So that's why you see that there are a number of differences between science and sociology. In sociology, testing is difficult, while science, because it believes in theoretical thinking, they come up with laws. So testing is one of their foundation. Testing and predictability is one of their foundation. This doesn't happen in science, in sociology. In sociology, there are no controlled environments. We're living in a dynamic situation. You're living amongst human beings. Everybody is changing continuously. Everybody is interacting continuously. So there is a dynamism. Science, on the other hand, is static because you are working in laboratories. These are laboratory experiments. Sociology cannot do laboratory experiments, right? We are dealing with human beings. You can't put up human beings into a laboratory and say that आज हमने ये experiment किया, 5 दिन बाद हम यही experiment ऐसे ही करेंगे. So there is a change, there is a dynamism, and so it is difficult. So there are a number of differences between sociology and science, and we've done this in another video also, where I've dealt about the relationship of sociology with other social sciences. In that also, I've discussed this a little. So here, we'll take it up in brief and we'll move ahead. Now see, these are the components of a scientific method. Okay, now these are the components of a scientific method, wherein you see that if you compare this with sociology, how and where will you see problems? Okay, now you see that in a scientific method there will be a certain particular problem, there will be a hypothesis, you would have certain techniques of gathering data, you would interpret the data, and then you would formulate theories. A very simple, linear and clear cut idea of a scientific method. Now if you see the same in context of sociology, the very fact that how and what problem you are choosing has a bias, right? I'm interested in a certain thing, I have a certain inclination towards it, I have a certain opinion towards it, and that is why I will study it. I cannot study it being completely like just because it's a problem out there. Okay, so that's really difficult, that's really rare. So your bias creeps in right here. The way you will frame a problem, the way of framing a hypothesis is interesting, right? So for example, if you are doing a study on household, if I per se am interested in gender, my hypothesis will be centered only around gender dynamics. I would overlook so many other aspects of a household. I would overlook the division of labor in household. Like I would look at division of labor only from gender perspective. I would overlook the entire concept of leisure in household, the entire concept of work. I mean, so many things I would overlook, right? Because I'm going with my hypothesis, and which is centered around gender. Now, similarly, the techniques will again depend on my bias, and so goes for interpretation of data and theory formulation. So you see that this cannot be like science. It cannot be 100% what this term I'm giving you right here, but we will come to this term. We cannot be 100% objective, but a scientific method is objective. Now, positivism, which we are heading to, positivism aims for this, for objectivity. Okay, and this the early sociologists thought to be the foundation for sociology also. Now here you see these are the basic ideas of positivism. So if you see the basic ideas of positivism, first and foremost, the most important, empiricism. Now what is empiricism? Empiricism, we know, is quantifiable reality. quantifiable reality, external quantifiable reality. Okay, this is something external. External quantifiable reality, that is empiricism. Okay, and this forms like the basis of positivism. This is like it forms like the entire crux of positivism is empiricism. Okay, then in terms of naturalism, naturalism is basically material reality. So you are dealing with the material world, you are dealing again with the visible world, you are again dealing with the concrete, with the visible. And inductivism is basically being completely objective. Okay, you are collecting data, you are making theories, you are experimenting through inductive approach. Not through inductive approach, sorry, that is sociology. So true inductivism would be basically being completely objective, and these are the tenets of positivism. So remember these, especially empiricism. This forms the main crux and your main foundation to understand positivism as well as to understand non-positivism, mind you. Now we come to positivism in sociology. Now we know what positivism in general is. We just did that, right? Now positivism, when we talk about in sociology, there was a heavy influence, I told you, of natural science in 19th century. Okay, so science was like highly regarded and everybody wanted their closeness to science, and therefore there was a heavy influence of natural science, and positivism was a method to achieve that closeness. Now, they was trying to understand the social world by intellectual offerings of the natural. So there was a general obsession with science. You are totally trying to understand the natural, that what is out there. You are trying to understand social world. You are trying to understand human beings. You're trying to understand interaction also through the natural, through what lies outside. And these were the people who gave the foundation of positivism in sociology, which I already told you about. So we've talked about Saint Simon, we've talked about Comte, we've talked about Spencer, and this is the cause and effect relationship in science, which is important. So in science, if you have an effect, if you have a result, you go and check its cause, right? If for example, if the water is boiling at 100 degrees Celsius, the cause is what? The cause is the heat. The cause is the subject matter of water, right? You will go towards the cause. So there's a relationship between cause and effect. Okay, this is the scientific understanding, and sociology also tried to build this on this relationship. Okay, sociologists also try to understand each and everything in terms of cause and effect. Now coming to the features of positivism, let's see. Positivism as a perspective was one of the initial attempts to understand social world in a systematic manner. So by what all we have discussed till now, you may feel that okay, that means positivism is something that does not work in sociology. Why was it even required, or why did it play such a chaos? It was totally useless. It was not required at all. Now that itself is also a problem, because positivism, again, remember, came at a time when the society was dealing with several issues, when there was religious orthodoxy, when there were problems, when there was chaos in society. Positivism came as an answer to it, because it was scientific. So positivism said that things do not happen only on the basis of religious orthodoxy. If you are saying that if I do not eat, if I kill, if I give up on life entirely, and so I will achieve this and this and this. This is what my religious is saying. Positivism questioned it. Positivism saying that okay, if you want to do it, do it. Why are you forcing someone else to do it? Okay, and give us a proof, give us evidence, right? So positivism questioned religious orthodoxy. It questioned the speculations. It helped the society to come out of it, and it helped everyone to understand social world in a systematic manner. Okay, because it believed in empiricism. It was directly observable, so there were no two ways about it. It was not vague. It helped us to understand external realities. It rejected internal aspects like feelings, emotions, values. Important. Now, it rejected all the internal values, feelings, emotions, values, and of course, this would be a matter of concern, especially for sociology, because we are continuously dealing with them, right? We are continuously dealing with these things. There was a stress on cause and effect relationship, okay? There was a stress on scientific methods. So, for example, here I'll give you an example that how sociologists, when they took on to positivism, even though it was difficult, but they found ways to use scientific methods. So, for example, you have Durkheim in his study of suicide, he used statistical techniques. And whenever we talk about Durkheim and his work on suicide, this is a really important contribution of Durkheim to sociology. You would know about all the kinds of things that are in society, about anomy, lots of these things when we do suicide, and it's an important work. However, his use of statistical methods, his use of statistical techniques was later questioned, because his data, his statistical techniques relied completely on data which were coming from police and crime departments. Right? Now, in such a scenario, do you believe that his results, his findings will be completely authentic? Well, no, because there are a number of cases which do not even get reported here, which do not even reach here. There are a number of accidents which might be termed as suicide. There are a number of suicides which get termed as accidents and they never get reported. What about them? You're overlooking a lot of factors, you're overlooking a lot of things. So, what about them? So, in that way, Durkheim's usage of statistical techniques is also criticized a number of times. This we have said that it rejected speculations and can be called empiricism. Empiricism is like the foundation of positivism. Now, through positivism, because it was cause and effect relationship, the stress was on formulating theories. Theory banegi to uski universal applicability bhi hogi. Okay, so they believed in universal applicability of theories. ऐसा नहीं है कि sociology में theories नहीं है. So in sociology also you will come across say Weberian theories, you will come across conflict theories, you will come across functionalist theories. You will come across a lot of them. You will come across theories, but the idea of universal applicability is also there. Okay, so in sociology, the theoretical formation has been different. Predictability is there. Now, of course, अगर आप theory है, अगर universal applicability है, तो उसकी predictability भी होगी. Now, this was again absent in sociology. Okay, the emphasis was on deductive approach, on deducing. Okay, ऊपर से it was like a top-down approach. In sociology, what do you prefer? You prefer the inductive approach. Why? Because you're dealing with individual phenomena. This is like a micro approach. You are dealing with individual phenomena. You can't try for replication. Okay, everybody is unique. Everything is unique. Every phenomena is unique. So you have to go for something like inductive approach. Positivism testable knowledge है, because testable है इसलिए predict करा जा सकता है. ठीक है. Now again, it helps society to get free from speculative philosophy and religious orthodoxy, and it laid a solid foundation for systematic organization, systematic investigation in society. This is of course the better part of positivism. Now, why I was telling you all the along with, while we were talking about the factors of positivism, if you notice, I've also talked about how it is not very applicable to sociology. Okay, now this will come again, this will feature again when we talk about the other approach. We haven't yet mentioned it. We will talk about the other approach. Okay, now before talking about it, let's first clearly talk about the issues of positivism in sociology. We've already talked about it. I've already told you these things. This is important. Facts don't fall from sky, they arise in particular context. Sorry. I'll go back to it. Facts do not fall from sky, they exist in certain context. Okay, this is important, and this is said by phenomenologist Peter Berger. So when you're talking about facts, if you are saying that sociology is supposed to study facts, even if facts are existing in a certain context, and you cannot overlook that context. Okay, so contextual study. And when you are doing contextual study, again, you are dealing with human beings. You are dealing with the internal. You are dealing with different contexts. So you cannot overlook it. As I told you, inductive approach is helpful in sociology. Meanings are attached by actors, which are important. This you will see in Weber's study of social action. So in Weber's study of social action, Weber very clearly said that an actor acts, and the action has a meaning which is given by the social actor. Every social action has a certain meaning. He gives us different kinds of social action, and we will talk about those social actions when we talk about Max Weber in detail. Then, of course, when you talk about, there's overemphasis on universalism. Then there's investigative methods which lacked objectivity, like the kind study. Then positivism, one of the basic things is that it did not explore social life entirely. It was like a surface study. Social life is much more than just the external. Human beings are much more than just the exterior, right? And it overlooked that. The applicability of theories was questionable because everyone is different, every phenomena is different, every cultural whole is different. Now basically this is what we talk about positivism and the issues of positivism in sociology. Now with positivism, there are different methods which came with positivism, and what we spoke about initially, the best way to be positivistic was to be objective. And this requires another time and attention, wherein we'll talk about objectivity and value neutrality. These are the ways to be positivistic. These are the methods of being positivistic in sociology. Okay, but as of now, so we know that how sociology emerged. It emerged during a time when there were a lot of questions which needed an answer. It emerged as an answer to the problems posed by modernization, and at that time, science was highly regarded. Science was appreciated by everyone. Now, to be close to science, the initial sociologists, they wanted sociology to be close to science, and so the thinkers, they brought their own analogies, they brought their own ideas. So you have organismic analogy, you have idea of social physics, you have idea of evolutionary stages of society, theological, metaphysical, positivistic. So you have these stages. So you see how the early thinkers, they tried to explain society scientifically. So they said that sociology is a science, it is a modern science. In fact, because sociology was a new social science, it's one of the most recent social science, so it is the most intelligent of them all. So it has to be close to natural science. Now, to prove themselves even more, they came up with the approach of positivism. Positivism was all about empiricism. Please, whenever you are talking about positivism, if a question comes, you have to mention empiricism. So it is about empiricism, that is external, concrete, quantifiable reality. Okay, so it was about being empirical. So in this way, it overlooked the internal, it overlooked the emotions, it overlooked the feelings, it overlooked your motives, your beliefs, your customs, it overlooked all of it. Okay, and these form a very important subject matter of society. So positivism was all about predictability. It was about the external matter, external subject matter. It was about stressing on theories. The theories need to have universality. There has to be a predictability. There has to be a testability. Okay. All these aspects, there has to be a cause and effect relationship. It has to be objective. Okay. There will be a deductive approach. So in terms of when you see these features in sociology, all of them are questionable. All of them are questionable because facts are not falling from sky. They are emerging in particular contexts. Those contexts are made up of both external and internal. So you cannot have a partial understanding. You have to study the internal. Then in sociology, you prefer the inductive approach. You see the meanings that are attached by actors to their social action. The theories cannot be universal. Their applicability is questionable. Their predictability is questionable. Their testability is definitely questionable. So positivism was a very on-surface study. So this is about positivism in sociology. And how do you achieve positivism in sociology? One of the major ways of being positivistic is through being objective, is about the idea of objectivity. How do you achieve objectivity? Through being value neutral. Now, what is being value neutral? What is fact, value, objectivity? This is again another subtopic which we'll take up later. As far as this is concerned, you generally get a question on this. Generally, question aata hai in which you have to explain both positivism and non-positivism. Non-positivism is the other strand of thought which we'll take up later. सो जनरली क्वेश्चंस दोनों के कंपैरिजन में आते हैं, दोनों को डिस्कस करना आता है, कई बार ओनली पॉजिटिविज्म पे भी क्वेश्चन आ सकता है. So but definitely there is a question on this topic, on the idea of positivism and non-positivism. So that way this becomes an important topic, and so please prepare for it. And it's an easy one because you can connect things. You know about the emergence of sociology. You know that science is regarded highly. You know that being positivist means being empirical is being close to science. You know that the founders of sociology want sociology to be close to such a thing, so that's why they want to prefer positivism. Then you see that what positivism entailed. Then you see that how those things are actually problematic in sociology, and then we come to the idea of non-positivism, which we will take up later. So I hope through this video, through this brief lecture, you get some idea of positivism. And in case of any questions, do mention in the comments. And there is we will also post the link for the course, which is beginning from 15th April. And we hope to see you there. And all the different courses are beginning from the dates, and we will be mentioning all of those on the websites. So please keep checking, take a look at all of that, and all the best for your preparations. Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Signing off, Dr. Ekta Jain Sethi. Take care.